now travel in thy company is of great comfort to me. As for the rest, it beginneth in earnest. The hunting of the Lightwardens, and perforce the war with Yulmore. Hark thee then to my words, and through them behold the vision that I did glimpse, that of the 8th umbral calamity. As I drifted hither to the first, traversing the boundary twixt reality and potentiality, I did bear witness to events yet to come. There I saw the combined forces of Eorzea and the Far East offering fierce resistance to the legions of Garlemald. So fierce, in fact, that they did begin to push the enemy back. Ilm by painful ilm at first, then yalm by yalm, and yet the joy they felt was short-lived. For in so doing they did force the Empire's hand. Faced with defeat, the Garleans turned to a weapon most vile. Black Rose. Its potency defied all reckoning. Once released, the gas took on a life of its own, wreaking untold carnage not only in Eorzea, but in the provinces of the Empire beside. From fighters upon the front lines to babes in their beds, none were spared. And as the casualties became too numerous to count, so did the fabric of civilization begin to unravel. Nor did the land itself escape unscathed. For spreading from the site of its release, Black Rose brought death to the very soil. To survive amidst the chaos and upheaval, men came to live by the sword, the rule of law giving way, inevitably, to the rule of might. Thus was the spark struck and the fire kindled, and swiftly did it spread as a blaze in a field of straw to engulf every corner of the world. Nations worthy of the name did then cease to exist. And those souls brave and true who might have risen to restore order were no more. For the weapon spared not one, not even thee. An endless age of war, begotten by the blight of Black Rose. Such is the legacy of the 8th umbral calamity which I did behold. No matter the cost, we must forestall this tragedy. To that end, I have labored during my sojourn in this world, discovering in so doing the answer to a pressing mystery. That of Black Rose's inexplicable potency. Come. Dost thou recognize yonder chart? Indeed. 'Tis a rendering of the elemental wheel, such as one might find in classrooms across the source. As the chart maketh plain, Our world is composed of 6 elements, in addition to which there exist 2 poles in fundamental opposition. Astral, the active; umbral, the passive. As a reflection of the source, the first naturally compriseth the selfsame forces. Yet, curiously, there is a notable divergence in their nomenclature. To be specific, the denizens of this world employ not the terms astral and umbral. Thus was I moved to inquire what names said forces had been assigned. A simple question which yielded a most unexpected answer. Upon demanding the name of the pole aligned with activity and growth, I was told that as life's myriad colors combine to produce black, the people of the first had called it darkness. At this, did my mind begin to race. It was only when I asked what name had been given to the pole aligned with passivity that mine eyes were opened to the truth. Peace and tranquility being as purest white, unmarred by color, I was told it had been given the name of light.
That's umbral light and astral darkness, yes? I'm no etherologist, but it strikes me that the nomenclature of the first is rooted in the generation of the 2 forces, while our own appears to focus on their effects. Which makes one wonder, have we had it backwards all this time?
'Tis indeed a compelling question, and one which beareth closer examination. Yet what knowledge we already possess sufficeth to explain the chain of events. The phenomenon of etheric thinning observed in the source is the consequence of light, the power of stasis, flowing in from the first to stifle the movement of ether within the land. And according to Master Alphino, Black Rose slayeth by halting the circulation of ether within living beings. Should such a weapon be unleashed even as the first were rejoined, replete as it is with light,
we would have a disaster of untold proportions on our hands. A calamity. Well, at least we have a better grasp of what we're facing. Our objective, however, remains unchanged. We are to eliminate the Lightwarden of Ilmeg. Speaking of which, were you able to ascertain its whereabouts?
Aye. 'Tis all but certainly ensconced within Leargear, the castle which standeth in the midst of the lake. To enter said stronghold, we must needs turn to the pixies for aid. Fortunately, I have become quite adept at courting their cooperation. Henceforth shall I accompany you, and do all in my power to ensure that my vision doth not come to pass. Ah, lest I forget. White auracite, newly forged for thy use. Our mission being to thwart a rejoining, we will most assuredly cross paths with those who crave the contrary, our eternal enemies. Thus did I choose to abide in this ether-rich land, the better to fashion a trap for the Ascian's essence.
May I come in now?
You may indeed, assuming you've finished.
I did as you asked.
That's my girl, thank you. I should probably explain. Though my body remained behind in the source, its limitations saw fit to accompany me, which is to say, I cannot manipulate ether. I took up the gunblade for its defensive advantages, but on account of my little impairment, I cannot imbue the ammunition myself. Luckily for me, Minfilia has quite a talent for it.
Minfilia, once we set forth, we are not like to return for some while. If thou wouldst choose tomes to take with thee, let it be now.
Really? May I?
Of course, my dear. Yet have care thou dost not add overmuch to thy burden, lest I incur Thancred's ire. Hast thou spoken to her of thine encounter with the Minfilia of Eld?
Well, I suppose now is as good a time as any. As you know, I freed young Minfilia from captivity in Yulmore some 3 years past. Not long after, the two of us journeyed to the south of Armareng, to the edge of the Empty, where the flood was halted. 'Twas there that she awakened. The Minfilia of old. My Minfilia.
Tell me, what must I do to bring you back?
My dearest Thancred, as I am now, I am no different from an Ascian. This child is but a vessel. One of many I have used that I might spread word of her enduring blessing and preserve the flame of hope. In my name, each has died, never having lived her own life. I have taken enough from these children. I will take no more.
But what of your suffering? Your sacrifice? This isn't fair! I will not stand for it. I cannot! There must be something we can do. Tell me!
Should the day come when this child grows weary of fighting and wishes to cast it all aside, then shall I take up her burden. But should she wish instead to become the master of her own destiny, then shall I bequeath to her my all. Imbued with the strength that I reserve for rebirth, she may come to wield my powers as her own.
And what of my wishes? What of Flamine's? What of all the people who love and care for you and want nothing more than to see you again?
It is not their decision to make. It is hers. This child's. This Minfilia's. You have ever watched over me, Thancred. Now I ask that you do the same for her. Protect her. Teach her. Stand by her as you stood by me. There is much and more she does not know. She needs a guide to show her the ways of the world, or she will never find her own path. When the time comes, you will find me here. Until that day.
Minfilia, wait!
What happened?
And then she was gone. Minfilia, the girl, claims to have no recollection of any of it. I have told her many things, where we came from, what we fight for, but of that day, I have not spoken.
With the coming of another possessed of the blessing of light, the first hath begun to rise up in defiance of its fate. The question remaineth, however, who shall take up the flame of hope which Minfilia hath borne for so long? Whether we will it or no, the choice must soon be made.
I'm sorry I took so long. It was so hard to choose. In the end, I settled on just the one.
That is well. Now, if all is in order, let us set forth for Lida Loran.
Wilford! Wilford!
Jolly good show.
Oh, you do not hold back. But I would have it no other way. Seldom have I enjoyed such sport.
We have satisfied thy demands. Wilt thou now satisfy ours?
Of course. There it is, the relic you seek. Yours for the taking. Have care you do not break it, though, yes. Ah, but you, my friend, you are mighty indeed, and pleasing to the eye besides.
More! I want to see more of her!
Yes! Yes! I could watch her forever!
Why don't we just make her one of us? Yes! One of us!
One of us! One of us! One of us! One of us! One of us! One of us! One of us! One of us! One of us!
What a fine idea! Why ever didn't I think of that? You may have the crown, but in exchange, we will have you!
Wake up! Wake up, damn you!
Ah, you're alive. Thank the gods. I don't know where you learned to breathe underwater, but it's lucky you can. I'm sure you had your reasons. But the first rule of dealing with the Froth is do not deal with the Froth. It's said that they are born from the souls of the drowned. Were it not for your little trick, you'd have joined them. Your friends are safely back on dry land, in case you were wondering. They'll be searching for you, I expect. That's the royal capital of the Kingdom of Ardbert down there. It's seen better days. They were a stubborn lot, the Verbertites. Set in their ways. But once you got to know them, you couldn't find a more welcoming people. It always froze over in winter, being up in the mountains. So we'd pull up our chairs round the fire and trade tales over steaming bowls of lamb stew, while the street lamps burned hot and bright outside. All dead and buried now. Them and anyone else who might remember. Everything we did. Everything we gave. What was it for? I wonder. I hope you'll have a better answer than this when all's said and done.
Those Numo are rather frightening. I'm glad you're safe. I haven't seen much actual combat, so I was a little nervous, but I'm happy I could help. The Minfilius before me battled Sin Eaters as part of the Yulmoran army. But that had all changed by the time I was found. They held me captive, so that I wouldn't follow in the others' footsteps. I'd still be in my cell now had Thancred not spirited me away. When he found me, I knew nothing of the world. I didn't know how to live, let alone fight. Thancred once told me that if the efforts to summon you failed, it would fall to me to face the Lightwardens. I realized then that it was the only reason he kept me close. As a contingency. The truth is, he can't stand to be around me. Because I'm not her. I'm not his Minfilia. Once, we journeyed to Nabatha together, to the place where the Oracle appeared and stayed the flood. As we drew near, I felt as though I was fading away. I shut my eyes and covered my ears, and then... I'm not sure what happened after that. I have a vague feeling that I said something to him. Only it wasn't me at all. It was her. Afterwards, Thancred didn't say a word. Only kept to himself and brooded. There's nothing I can do for him. Nothing I can offer but my presence. Though it only reminds him of his loss. She should be the one to live on. That's why I tried to find you. Because I knew that was what she wanted. But now that you're here, I'm not entirely sure what it was she intended me to do. Was I meant to tell you something, or bring you to someone, or somewhere? I can feel the answer at the edge of my mind, just out of reach. What is that?
Why? Why did you imprison us? Such boredom, such tedium have we suffered. It is unfair. Unfair. Come. Come and play with us.
It came from the castle. This is everything I have. Please see it delivered to the Numo. I will bear word to Thancred and the others.
Oh, I know not how to thank you. It is my most treasured possession. A gift from a dear departed soul. He was a traveler, and together we journeyed to the ends of the world and back again. When I was young, in those days, I could not speak. But we found joy in each other's company nonetheless. This medallion he found during an adventure, fashioned it into a necklace for me, his partner in crime. I had not the words to tell him then, but it filled my heart with pride. I was so happy. His name was Ardbert, and he was my friend.
Ardbert, thou sayest?
Everyone blamed him for the flood. Him and his comrades. Some few who spoke up for them, of the many whose lives they had touched. But as the years went by, their voices were drowned out by those who only uttered the adventurers' names as a curse. It was too much to bear. And so I left behind men and their lies, and came to this place. Ardbert was a trusting soul, constantly being drawn into the troubles of others. Yet in spite of this, he never thought twice when he saw someone in need. He always tried to help. It was no different then. The world needed heroes. It needed him. And yet, he was a good man. He deserved to be happy. I wish I could have told him that, at least. You remind me of him. Your kindness. When we Amaro were created, we were granted the ability to perceive souls. Thus did we recognize our masters. That ability has long since faded from our kind. But due perhaps to my reversion, I can see your soul. Faintly, but surely. It is reminiscent of Ardbert's. Strikingly so. Of course, you are you and no one else. We are defined not by the soul we are born with, but the path we walk. Nevertheless, I cannot help but feel that this is more than mere coincidence. Which is why I will place my faith in you. The relic. It is yours.
There's trouble! Terrible trouble!
Has something happened at Lida Loran?
Together with the twins, we were playing tricks on some nasty mortals to stop them from setting foot in Ilmeg. At first they ran off screaming, which was lots of fun. But then a scary, bony, wrinkly old mortal came along and spoiled everything. None of our tricks seemed to work on him, which is no fun at all. And now they're getting closer.
Ranjit. If he manages to find his way in, all our efforts will have been for naught.
As thou sayest. Should we be discovered ere our mission here is complete, and the Lightwarden yet liveth, our task will be rendered nigh impossible. If we are to prevail, we must needs divide our forces. Thus do I propose the following. Whilst thou salliest forth to meet with the Lightwarden, we shall join in the effort to obstruct the trespassers. Should we succeed in staying their advance, all the better. Yet even should we fail, if we can but delay our enemy's arrival long enough for thee to secure victory, our plan may still be deemed a success.
So the moment the lights go out, we all beat a hasty retreat, yes?
Let me come with you. I have the blessing too.
No, Minfilia. You'll only get underfoot. Now come.
I wish there were more I could do. Please be careful.